You know, everybody thinks I'm an actor turned director, but I've always been a producer director that fell into acting. I've always been fascinated with being behind the camera, putting the whole project together, having a total vision and control of the final product. I've had some amazing mentors in this industry. You know, I used Desperate Housewives as my film school. I paid attention to where the cameras went and lenses and lights and blocking and, it was 10 years of my life. And I had so many directors come through. You learn some really great things and then you also learn what not to do. And so I really feel like my curiosity was my greatest strength. I asked a lot of questions, and when a good director came along, I picked their brain. I was inspired by so many directors and their work. I wanted a strong POV in the film, and nobody does it better than Scorsese. I loved the journalistic approach of Adam McKay, and I like, the social issues of Ava DuVernay. I like the heart of all of Ron Howard's films. I mean, I really studied so much of their work to see, like, God, I want a little bit of that. I want to do a little bit of that. I was so inspired by, their approach to filmmaking. For me, I, kind of touched every rung of the ladder in directing. I started with short films. I went to episodic TV, did, comedy, did drama, did multicam, single cam. And so it was the natural evolution to do a feature next, although I wasn't looking for one. This story found me, and I was obsessed with wanting to tell Richard Montañez's story. This movie hasn't been made, and I say that humbly, and I say that with sadness, because I think the last major studio that did a film about us and by us Latinos was 20 years ago. And so we can't get a film every 20 years. I really tried to get inspired by some of the greatest filmmakers of our time and put it into Eva Longoria style, Oh God, that's horrible. Don't ever speak in third person, into my style. I don't know when I felt represented on screen. The first time I would probably say, which is not accurate, but West Side Story with Rita Moreno, because she was brown like me, but I wasn't Puerto Rican, and I wasn't from New York. I had never been there. I related nothing to the story other than Rita Moreno looks like me, and I remember that being one of the first times. Also, I would say Salma Hayek in Desperado, and Robert Rodriguez's name, just like, whoa, wait, a Mexican American like me directed that? I remember being very blown away by that, and the fact that Robert was from Texas, I'm from Texas. So I feel like those were the earliest memories I have of representation looking like me. I think there's an illusion that Hollywood's very progressive and it's super diverse. And the data and statistics say otherwise. Actually, there's less female directors behind the camera than there were a couple years ago. There's less Latinos in TV and film than there were a couple years ago. So, I feel like we have to keep our foot on the gas. For me, that's the whole purpose of getting behind the camera, is to tell our own stories. Write our own stories, produce our own stories. And, on this film, I dedicated an immense effort to hiring Latinos behind the camera, because that's the story we were telling, and I needed that authenticity in every department head. I really only say yes to projects that have something to say. Like, what are we saying about society, about culture? Are we changing anything? Are we changing anybody's hearts and minds? And that's why this particular film is so important, because it's entertaining and it's funny and it's a fun ride, and it's heart-tugging, it's emotional, it's all those things, but it also is saying a lot about the hierarchy that we live in society, and about how opportunity is not distributed equally, and a man like Richard Montañez, who said, but why not? Why not me? Why can't ideas come from somebody who looks like me? And that was important to me, to direct something that says something. Yeah, and I also think, I heard this recently, like imposter syndrome is made up by patriarchy. It's made up by a certain group of people who want women to think they don't belong and want women to be so humble and so thankful for this job, And with this project and with Flamin Hot, I keep balancing between immense gratitude and humility for what we've created and all the talent that was assembled to make this film possible. And I balance that with like, yes, I want to own this space. Like, I want to be proud of this space and stop saying, thank you so much for allowing me this space. Thank you so much for letting us be here. Like, no, this is our space. We deserve to be here. And so it's a balance. It's just been this amazing journey to, finally present this movie to the world, and for it to be received the way it's been received, with the intention of how we made it. I really think, like, how am I ever going to care about another project as much as I've cared about Flamin Hot? It's a special story, it's a special, talented group of people that helped me bring my vision to life, and now we get to be here to tell the world, go watch it, and them saying, I watched it, and it's amazing. Like, all of it is pretty amazing. So, I'm gonna continue to tell the stories from my community, because I think we have a lot of stories to tell, and I think we're amazing storytellers.